And we are live. And with that, I'll say good morning, good afternoon, good evening. Whoever you are, whatever you are, wherever you are on the static planet, whatever that means to you. I'm going to tell you what, man. When I was trying to do a promo video earlier tonight for this, just to give everybody a heads up, we were coming on live at 8 p.m. Eastern time on YouTube. I was having issues. I had to do 3 takes, and everything comes in threes, especially in the realm of magic. It comes in threes. If you know, you know. This is no different. And then again, I just looked up. It said live, 1 minute, 11 seconds, synchronicities. Boom. What's happening tonight? Everything's coming in threes. Here we go, folks. Let me tell you what. There's something going on. I think it's because of who we're interviewing. I think it's because of these ladies and what's around them all the time. Something's awash. Something strange is happening here. More than normal, if that even makes sense. It's worse than normal. Define worse. But you know, creeps, freaks, and weirdos. TPV Nation, thank you for tuning in. Day one to day now. We don't get to do what we do. I'm all over the place. ADD, OCD, ADHD. If it's got D behind it, you know I got it, Dale. It's happening right now in the flesh, for sure. I'll tell you what, so excited to be here right now. We got great guests tonight. We met them in Thunder Bay at the Great Lakes Paracon. We were privy to be a part of. Oh, my God. What an experience that was. We got a flight out there, an amazing hotel room, bigger than my apartment. Not that my apartment's big. It's probably the size of most people's bathrooms, but that's besides the point, too. It was a big hotel. We were treated like royalty. I can't say anything but good things about Lucky Paranormal and the opportunity they gave us. But we made some new friends. These ladies right here from Beyond the Haunting, who we're going to get on in a few minutes here. What can I say about them, Dale? What can you say about them?
Oh, like I said, it is truly amazing, and I was so happy to, be a part of the Lake Superior Paracon and to meet these ladies, and to see the show that they were a big part of on the T&E channel. Uh, for those that are in Canada, it is featured on the T&E called History's Most Haunted. And like I said, to meet these ladies was quite amazing, and to be able to hang out and get to know them and just see just truly how amazing they are. And like everybody else that we get to the opportunities to meet and become friends with, this is no exception. You just bond because of popular things, but then you find out like behind the scenes, you got so much more in common than just the paranormal stuff. So yeah, truly excited that we were able to get them on here. Look forward to talk to them. Just wanted to say some hi to some people on the side right now. We've got Randy. Randy, thank you for joining us. Randy's from Kelowna,
BC. Oh,
and we've got our fellow lunker brother, Jason. How you doing, brother? Thank you for joining us tonight. And somebody from Boulder, Colorado. We got Heidi. Heidi, thank you so much for joining us tonight.
Dale, in that case, you know what we got to do? Little Rascals High Sign.
Little Rascals High Sign. There we go.
There we go. Thank you, everybody, for tuning in.
Absolutely. So, yeah. So, just before we bring out these fantastic ladies, Michael John, what have you been up to? What you got going on, brother? It's been about a minute since we've talked.
I don't know. What can I talk about? I don't know.
You can talk about whatever you want. I mean, coming up very shortly, you're going back to NCG Wrestling.
Global Champions Group Wrestling. Yes, that's right. Leamington, Ontario, November 15th. November 14th, I will be dropping the puck along with fan favorite Zico. I wish they would have put me with someone I liked, but whatever. Alas, I digress. I'll go with them, I guess. That's what I'll do. But yes, the honor and the privilege is all theirs, of course, for me to drop the puck at the Leamington Flyers game. But other than that, yeah, a lot going on still. We got the TV show happening. Hashtag blessed, thankful, grateful. ever so humbled to have that opportunity and watching it happen right here, right now. On CTV. It's known as The Traders Canada. It is season 2. We're going on to episode 6. That'll be the next one. It is preempted, or is that the word? There is a baseball. I don't follow sports. I don't know if is it football or baseball coming up.
It's the football
Please.
game. It's a football game for Monday Night Football.
Okay.
So yeah.
Okay. Yeah. But so we got that going on. Of course, I got my lovely cats. Piper the Nooch and Luna Bobuna here doing their things. Single crazy cat dad right here, folks, and I don't want it. I don't want it any other way. You get what I mean? So
yeah, no, that's awesome. So
I'm
yeah, oh no. I mean, living the great
life is good.
Living our greatest life possible.
We
That's
really
all
are.
I can say about that.
And we get to do a lot of things together, brother, like this.
Yes, no, absolutely. So right now, let's bring out these fantastic ladies. So right now, coming in from beyond the hauntings, we have Kelly, Leanne, and Corine. Hello, ladies.
Hello.
Hey, guys.
How's it going?
It's going fantastic. I hope the weather's just as beautiful out in BC as it is here in Ontario.
Yeah. Currently, there's a massive windstorm, so if the power goes out,
Yeah.
You know what was?
we might have to disappear.
You know what was weird just now? I don't know if you noticed my face when you came on screen. There was, so I saw the two. I saw Kelly and Leanne, or Corine. Sorry, Leanne's in the middle, right?
Yeah.
I confused. Sorry. For some reason, Leanne, I didn't see you. I saw it looked like someone was standing with their back to the screen wearing a top hat.
Oh, maybe it's a shelf. I don't know.
The shelf it was, and there's a little thing, like a little circle came on. It totally threw me. Anyway, that's why I made that funny face. I was like, what are they doing?
Weird.
So,
I could just lean in like this the whole time.
Hello.
That's better. Yes.
Oh, that is just absolutely so wonderful. So yes, so as we were telling everybody that we did have the distinct pleasure of getting to hang out with you guys for an entire week up in Thunder Bay,
They got us
Ontario.
drunk,
What an
folks.
adventure that was.
They got us drunk.
Yeah, a little pub crawl. That was fun. Yeah.
It was. It really was. Yeah. It was great because so guilty. I don't watch a lot of TV, so I don't get starstruck. So I wasn't starstruck over you. Now it's like, oh my God, we have these ladies on. Oh my God. But it was a great time to get, like Dale said, to get to hang out with you girls, and we talked ghost stories, and we talked our passion. We just hung out, and it was just friends talking about ghosties, of course. So I mean, thank you for that, and also thank you for joining us tonight. This is going to be an awesome show.
Yeah. Thanks for having us.
So let's just kick it all off. Like, first of all, how do you guys all know each other? Because for our viewers, we know why you guys all know each other, but we'd like our viewers to know how you guys all got to know each other.
So you want the short or long version of this one?
We've got all the time in the world, so you ladies pick and choose how you guys want that to be.
All right. Well, I can take that one on. So Leanne and I are sisters, and
She's older.
yeah, she's always pointing that out. And Leanne and Kelly have been friends for quite a long time, since I think middle school or
High school, right?
We met. So yeah, so we've known each other a very long time. That's how we met. Let me continue then. Oh, was that the long story?
Yeah, that's the long version. Normally, we
long-
just cut that in half.
Let me continue. So yeah. Anyway, so I'm the older sister, as Leanne pointed out, and I was growing up seeing things and hearing things, and as we talked about at the event, like I would know things, and I don't know how I would know things. So by the time I was like 7, 8, 9, my parents were having me tested. Obviously, if you go to your parents and you're that age and you're like, oh, I'm hearing voices. You don't see that guy over there or whatever. So they had me tested for many things. So I was tested for like schizophrenia, mental health issues, brain tumors, everything known to humankind. And when everything came back normal, I was just like, okay, well, I'm not going to talk about it anymore because no one believes me. And as I kind of was going through all of this by myself, I started to play a game because I saw Leanne starting to see, not so much see, but she'd look in the direction of what I was looking at. And I'm like, wait a minute, why is she looking that way?
Wow.
So I started this game called Spot the Spirit, more just to test her to see if she could see what I was seeing. And every single time, like time and time again, she'd be like, exactly correct. I'm like, wow. So at that point, I started to realize that there might be something. And from that point on, you know, I just kind of would test her, and then
Yeah. And then I was the kid that loved all of the paranormal stuff and would talk about it at school, would just like scream it from the rooftops. So I never had to hide it because Corine kind of paved the way of the mental health issue testing.
you're welcome.
So yeah, like I just loved it. Like I grew up watching like X-Files, listening to Coast Radio. Like I was absorbed in all of it. And I still obviously to this day love it. And so when Kelly and I met, she's probably the first one to tell you I would talk about this stuff openly.
Yeah. So first of all, thanks for having me on your show. I didn't get to meet you guys in Ontario because I couldn't make it. So thank you so much. It's nice to meet you both.
Thank you.
I met Leanne initially when we were in elementary school, and then we really connected in high school when we played volleyball. And I was somebody who I wasn't raised talking about these things. I didn't really know any of this stuff existed. Then I met her and started hanging out with her. And to me, in my upbringing, she was somebody who I would have considered to be weird. Obviously, she's not. But with the lens that I grew up with, I saw her as weird. But I liked hanging out with her. So I spent more time with her. And she would talk about things. She was totally non-judgmental. She would just share her views on life and the world. And she was fun. So I just kept spending time with her and at her house, and met her sister and saw their dynamic. And I started to see sort of behind the curtain their life and how it was normal with their family, and Spot the Spirit. And it was just so fascinating to me that it was just normal life. It wasn't like there was no judgment. There was nothing like that. So I just kind of took it in, and it challenged everything that I knew in my life and anything that I had heard or not heard of. And so I sort of developed an open mind and kind of put down all the things that I had been told, and sort of decided that I was going to just learn from experience. So they started to take me out to places, and I guess I was kind of a fly on the wall because I didn't feel like I didn't know anything. So I was just watching and taking it in. And then after enough times, I started to notice that I was sensing things. Memories started to come back from my childhood where I had actually experienced things, seen things, and they were quickly shut down. Fair enough. But yeah, the more I went out, I would start to say things. So I was like, oh, wow, I have this splitting headache now that we're in this room. And then someone would say, oh, yeah, me too. Like, whereabouts is it? And I'd say, oh, my temple. And they're like, oh, yeah, me too.
Wow.
I would start to understand, like, seeing things in my mind's eye, what that means. And it just kind of grew from there. And I guess I kind of reopened what had been shut down and just sort of stepped right into it with them. So it's been quite a journey of just challenging all the beliefs that I thought I had. And just everything was turned on its head. And it's been such a fun, exciting exploration of just life.
I got to ask, with you being friends, becoming friends, you start coming over the house with your weirdo friend and her sister. When we're okay, so for it's like, I guess for everybody involved, this question: when was it okay to introduce the game Spot the Spirit? Was it immediate? Did it take time? What, if you can recall?
It took a while. It took a while for them to really open things up and drop the walls down. But
Sure.
Like,
there's
City Hall.
things, I think it was so normal for them that they didn't even realize that to me it was abnormal.
I wouldn't have hit it.
Yeah,
she talked about everything.
Yeah.
She was open. Like, she was the kid in school that people were like, why is she on the jungle gym, like waving people down from the clouds? Like, like that. Whereas Corine, someone who'd been tested for things and learned to shut it down, because every time mom gives me a chocolate bar means I'm going in to get tested. Like, she was super wary and afraid. So she always kept it very quiet. So when we'd go out and Leanne is openly talking to people, Corine's like, shut up, like, stop telling people. So it's been so interesting for me to just observe each position, because everybody's in a different place, even though it's sort of the same environment or you're entering the same space. Everyone's experience is so unique. So I've had the privilege of witnessing the whole journey.
I want to ask, I mean, so as you progressed and you started going out on investigations with the girls and you started having your own senses kicking in, I have a headache, you're explaining, okay, where's that at? Oh, it's in my temple, et cetera, et cetera. Do you think, I mean, okay, so you alluded to the fact, okay, things are coming back from before, but do you also think, because I call it contagion, like there's a gentleman I know, his life is synchronicities. I've come across him twice at conventions, and both times all of a sudden synchronicities explode in my life. And if I shared that if I start sharing those stories with people, they've come back to me. I can count on one hand, but it like within a day or two, oh my God, I'm getting synchronicities too. So my point of that rambling is this. Do you think you inherited some of their abilities? There is a contagion and now you've become them. Does that make sense?
Yeah, I understand what you're saying. I think it's multifaceted. So yes, I do believe that it's part of that. We say that we're sort of battery packs for each other. So when we're together, it amplifies whatever it is that we each have as our abilities. I also believe too that once your awareness opens, you are able to access those synchronicities. So when you, like even through meditation, for example, like
yes,
I became friends with them, and then I entered this meditation class, and I had never meditated before. And so in accessing whatever it was in this class, it was like the first thing I heard was, I am God. And I'm like, oh, like what is happening here? Like, this is crazy. What is going on? And like the different guided meditations we're going through. And I have an expectation, like, I'm going to see this person in this meditation, and then it's not that person. And I'm like, oh, wow. It's just this wild world. So I think it's multifaceted how it works.
And I think with that too, if you're sending out the vibration of synchronicities, you're attracting it. People are attracting it. Like it's very fascinating.
Yeah.
So I gotta ask you guys, knowing that at such a young age that you had these abilities, now did you ever use them while you were in school?
That's a good question.
That's a good question. No. I shut that down so fast. So for me, I never, like, honestly, I was for so long that kid that was like, oh my gosh, I'm going back to the doctors if I say anything. So I didn't say anything through elementary school, high school, nothing. I had my own things happening. It was still occurring and I was still having all these experiences, but I didn't talk about it. But ironically, when I became a teacher, I also kept it quiet because my career and everything like that. But it got to the point where I started, because I also taught psychology, high school psychology and high school history. And there were times where we'd be talking about it in psychology class and, I'd be seeing things or something would happen or a loved one of a kid would come through. And I never crossed that line, and only like maybe twice ever in my career talking about it with kids. But like colleagues, I try to like say things, and I was testing the waters more as an adult, but not when I was a kid myself at all. Leanne, like, you're welcome again. I went through all that.
Oh boy.
Had to take all these bumps and bruises for you, Leanne. Like,
Yeah.
that is you had the easy path because your sister had to deal with it all. So this way here, you didn't have to go through that. I mean,
that's not
that's sibling.
I didn't come here for that.
Siblings don't usually get along that well or take bumps for each other, but that is truly. But it's. I mean, I think it's only been a few times that I've actually met people that siblings have the same ability. Usually one sibling will have an ability, but the other sibling will have something else. And where you guys get to actually share an ability more or less. And then to have somebody come along like Kelly, who had the ability, but it wasn't until being around you guys were able to bring that part out. I do believe that everybody does have the ability. It's a matter of if you're opening up or if you're tuning into what that ability is and what it does. So, I mean, that's truly amazing how the three of you work very well with each other. So, what was it like the first time you guys all decided let's go on a ghost hunt. Like, what was that like to you guys?
Well,
What was the very first?
well, I dragged you out for a long time before, but I think you dragged Kelly out.
We went to like a city hall when we were teenagers.
Mhm.
Yeah, like so we've all done it like together, like as groups of two. But was it the Washoe Club? Was that the first big one?
I think it was a museum.
Yeah.
In Fort
Oh,
Moody.
yeah.
Yeah. I mean, it's
Yeah.
just like Kelly said it best. When we're together, it amplifies and we surprise ourselves on what happens. You just can't predict what's going to happen, who's going to come through, what message we're going to share, or in the case of History's Most Haunted, what untold history we're going to discover.
Okay, they can speak for themselves because they grew up with this. The first time I went into this city hall in this rural neighborhood was just utterly mind-blowing. I don't think I could even fathom anything. I was just like taking it in, like, what is happening? Like, it was like slow motion almost. It's dark. There's handprints in the cement that are coming out of the walls. And I'm like, how does this work?
I'm just like, that's all normal.
So yeah. So then they go in, they're like, oh, look, there's a light. Oh, and I'm just like, so yes, it became more normal over time. But at first it was just like trying to process and just being like, whoa. Yeah, it was a lot.
But I think you said it best. I think, like, agreeing with both of you, we totally agree that everybody has this ability.
Yeah.
And I think it was you that coined the term, like, it's like everybody has it, but how, like you said, how tuned in are you? And I think the radio station reference is genius, because it's like everybody has the ability to, like, you can hear the radio, but you can't see the radio waves. We all listen to it, but you can't see that. But everybody can tune in to a certain level, right? So some people are like dialed right in, tuned right in. Other people are a little bit staticky. They get some are like way off. They're not even near the station, right? So like to kind of visualize that might help a little bit too, because everybody develops. You can develop that and work through it and like tune in a little bit more, right? So yeah, we've all come a long way.
So you guys go out on your first investigation. Of course, Kelly is floored by everything she's experiencing for the first time. So Kelly, how did Leanne and Corine like kind of help you, like, just tune in and show you the ropes kind of a little bit, or was this like they were just gonna say, let's see how long it's gonna take for her to catch on here?
No. Okay, so here's the thing.
Swim or don't swim, it's up to you.
Yeah, there was no forcing. They didn't like drag me along kicking and screaming. It was like we have other friends and none of them were coming along. So it was like, it was me being interested and wanting to come along and them including me in what they were doing. So it was just kind of like, they didn't force me to try gear. They didn't force me to do anything. And I was just kind of taking it in. And it was just so natural how it happened that just watching, I think I was so focused on watching in the beginning that I didn't notice the things that were going on for myself. And then once I became more comfortable in these environments, that's when I began to really relax. And then I was able to notice different sensations, different things I was seeing, hearing, smelling, like all that. And so that's when it came to a new level. And they're like, well, when I started vocalizing anyways, because it was just like noticing these things quietly.
You were very quiet the first few times I met.
And then when I started to say it, then it was like, oh, and they were really good at being like, oh, so what is that you see? And so that was really nice, because then they encouraged me to share what I was experiencing with a non-judgmental way, because not so much like Corine, but similarly as a child, when I said things that I had seen or whatever, it was like, don't say that again. Or like, like stuff like that, right? And you're like, okay, well, I guess I didn't see my dead dog in the doorway, like visiting me at night. Like, you know what I mean? So, so it was kind of like that. Yeah.
So Kelly, so I'm a huge, well, I'm obviously huge. It's into anything paranormal. What am I trying to say here? So pets, that's a big thing for me. One of my favorite side topics in this whole realm of possibilities, right? So you just commented you saw your dead dog.
Yeah, so I was quite young. I want to say like 3 years old or something. My dog was quite old. He'd come to the end of his life. I didn't know or understand. And one day, my mom just told me, Smokey's going away. And that's all they kind of told me. And I remember she had tears in her eyes. And my dad took him out the door. And I remember just being confused and not understanding. But he was gone. And so that night, I remember it very clearly. I went to bed and I was confused. So I used to love that he'd visited me in my room. And so it was very jarring that he was all of a sudden gone. So I went to sleep and I remember sitting up, and I can see it clear as day, like it's happening right now. I sat up in my bed. It was pitch black. Obviously, there must have been a nightlight or something, but I looked into my doorway, and in the doorway was my dog standing there looking at me. And I felt just this like peace and happiness to see him. And it was like, oh, wow, he's here. Like, perfect. Went to sleep. The next morning, I got up, went straight to my parents and was like, where's Smokey? And they're like, oh, no, Smokey's gone. And it was just, there was no more conversation beyond that. I didn't explain anything. I was just too little to grapple what had happened. So then that was the last I really spoke of him. And then years and years and years later, once I'd become friends with these two and my memory started to come back, I was like, oh, that's so crazy. I remember seeing my dog when I was little in my doorway. And my parents didn't tell me they put him down, like nothing. So I told them all this and they're like, oh, do you know what that means? And I was like, I think I'm starting to. So then, so that was, a visitation for my dog. It was just very, now, once I figured it out, it was so special because I remembered the feeling that I had when I sat up in bed and I saw him there and he had this energy to him. It was just so peaceful and happy and loving. And I just remember feeling that and then just tucking back in and going back to sleep. So, and it was just so confusing the next day to have these two different things going on. So it was really nice to have that confirmation and validation from them.
So your gifts were suppressed, obviously, from your parents right out of the gate?
Yeah, I would say so. They would say things that weren't probably the nicest, but it was their own upbringings too, right? They were conditioned a certain way. And it was, I guess they were just trying to protect me. I mean, they said, don't be a freak, which I don't know if that's like how certain parents parented back then, but I mean, they didn't mean
Did you get that too?
I got the look. I think that's
yeah. So it was like stuff like that, where it's like, to me at that time, it was like, well, it's not worth saying anything because then I'm just going to be shut down. And I don't like the feeling that I get when I do say that. So it was quickly turned off. And I mean, I've always been able to feel things strongly, but learned, of course, to like shut it down. I even had like little visualizations I didn't realize until later where I was like shutting things down and locking them up. So it was very interesting through the years to go into different meditation classes and different sort of spiritual things to help unlock all of those things and to reaccess it and to get back into those places that I figured was gone for good, but no.
And I'll one more question on this, and then we'll move on.
Sure.
I hijacked the whole show on pet questions here. Have you seen him since?
No, that was it. That was the only time. Yeah, that was it.
No more questions, Your Honor.
I know pets are special though. Like that's the one you want to see, right?
It's always fun on investigations, like when we pull out the SLS camera and like a four-legged figure comes and maps into the thing.
You've had that. Wow.
Yes. So that was one of my earlier investigations. We investigated a museum and in our hometown, and all of a sudden this four-legged figure comes in and I'm like, that looks like it could be like a dog or something. So one of the people in our group was like, okay, well, I'm just going to like pet it. So it's going like this. And I swear the legs started doing that. I can't see, like,
the wiggle.
Yeah.
And we did find out later that in that museum, there was the person that had lived there did have a dog, and it was
Wow.
like a 17-year-old dog or something. Yeah, it was quite something. So
I love that.
and we've seen that. Speaking of pets, like you said, they're special. Like we've not only had that, but like I think where were we on the show?
Well, there was a cat.
Newfoundland.
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
We were filming, and I'm like, oh my gosh, there's a cat upstairs. Like I thought the house was empty, so we actually stopped filming for a while because I thought there was like a stray cat upstairs in the middle of winter. But no, it was not a
Ghost cat. Yeah.
Oh yeah, we believe they live on too.
I believe that
I mean,
1,000,000%.
yeah, there's no doubt about it. I've been on a few investigations where we've seen ghost animals, and I thought they were real animals.
Yeah.
Because
You ever see a
it's
cat
just
in
like you're just out and about. You never know what strays could wander into any location at any time.
Dale,
So yes,
didn't we see a cat in New York at Western Block, or am I wrong?
what's that? I mean, it possible. I think there
we-
was an animal. Yes.
Sorry.
But, yeah, no. So let's. So how did the whole TV show thing come about for you guys? Of course, we're talking about History's Most Haunted. How did you guys get approached with that?
Right. So it actually all started with a documentary called Haunted Gold Rush. And it's a two-part piece where we explored the BC's Gold Rush Trail. And that was super special to us because that's our own backyard. It was a BC project. We're BC girls. And that's kind of how we launched on TNE. And we won a Tourism Innovation Award for that project, which was pretty incredible. And then because of the success of Haunted Gold Rush, we went right into History's Most Haunted. So we had 6 episodes of that, which was all across North America. We were in like Montreal, Charleston, New Orleans, Newfoundland in February.
That was fun.
Salem and Texas. Yeah. San Antonio. Yeah.
So the Haunted Gold Rush, talk to us about that. Yeah, I mean BC was well known for the Gold Rush years, as well as many other things. But you got what? I mean, so you guys obviously grew up on the history of the Gold Rush. So what would make you guys think, okay, let's investigate this and make it into something? And did you think it was going to be as haunted as it really was?
Well,
yeah.
yeah.
Well, so it kind of started that idea because I had moved to central BC. So I was kind of living close to where like parts of it were very popular. And yeah, just the idea of like, we drive this all the time.
Mhm.
Like all 3 of us grew up driving the Fraser Canyon, doing this route. And it's something that hadn't really been explored with this lens before. So we just knew it would be amazing because the scenery, I don't know if you guys have been to BC along this trail, but it's pretty spectacular.
I was there. I lived in Vancouver myself for 7 years, so I had the opportunity to. I'm a big history person, so yeah, that was something that attracted me to all parts of BC because, as I said, it's a lot of rich history, especially when it comes to Indigenous. So yeah, it was always something that I did take the tour there, but back then I wasn't. I really knew nobody who was into the paranormal. I was into it. I picked up a lot of things in there and saw a lot of shadows. But to me, I would just hold all that stuff into myself. I would never tell the people I'm around going, by the way, do you guys see that shadow that's standing right over there by the door?
I
Because they would all be like,
understand.
okay, you're a weirdo, stop.
Yeah.
Yes. But yeah, no, the history too with like the Fraser Canyon and the Gold Rush and everything, like just looking at the history of the 1800s. This is my history moment here, I guess, teaching land. But just knowing that, tens of thousands of people came from around the world to Victoria, then New Westminster, then Yale, came all the way up to Barkerville to the gold fields. Like that's not just a little journey like that. Back in the day, like it's hours to get up to central BC in a car today, right? So, we'd bomb up here and go as fast as we could to get up here. And, you spot all these little old buildings and the old roadhouses and see all the historic markers for all these things. And we're just like, we've never really stopped anywhere. Like we've got to check this out one day. And it just kind of happened. And then we were able to go all the way to Barkerville, which was incredible. To get the whole historic town to ourselves for a couple of days was incredible. So yeah, it was a pretty awesome chance to go from Yale along the Fraser River all the way up the canyon. It was pretty cool.
Mhm.
Yeah, and I'll say that even today, it's a difficult place to travel. They had some slides there that just knocked out the roads. So I can't imagine what it was actually like back then. So for us to retrace their footsteps, it was really gave me a new appreciation for the chances that these people took to take a turn in their lives and take an adventure and head up the Gold Rush Trail. And yeah, driving up that highway for so long. First, it was coming to visit Leanne, and then we all sort of moved up here. But you feel drawn to places. I'm sure you guys, you see certain locations and you're like, oh, I just need to get in there. It was like that. So each time we drove by, we'd be like, oh, what is that place? What is like Hat Creek Ranch? Like, what is that over there? We need to get in there. And so it just sort of worked out and we were able to do it.
And the coolest part of that whole thing for me was where we ended. If you guys get to watch it, there's this place. It's called Richfield. So, Dale, have you been to Barkerville? Did you go to Barkerville?
I'm trying to. It sounds familiar, but right now I can't. I mean, I crammed so much into when I was up there. So
Okay. But if you there's a path you can walk, and it's a distance from Barkerville, but we made the trek to Richfield where the old courthouse was. So Judge Begbie used to try all the criminals of the trail there. There were gallows. It's like the significant kind of building that's still there. And it's where we ended the documentary. And it was this aha moment of like the three of us being in a courthouse where people were judged. And it was just in that moment, we all realized like, we're not going to be judged anymore. We're going to do this. We're going to just like move forward. And like, it's go time for us to show the world like what this is about.
Yeah, because for quite a while we did it in secret. Yes. Paranormal investigation. Like I traveled to England a number of years ago with a friend, just like you, Dale, and I saw things in this old town, and I actually said it to her, like, oh my gosh, I can see this and I can see that. And she's like, that's weird. I don't see that. And I was like, okay. And I know Corine like went to like Japan and all sorts of places. And she's like, do you see that lady? And people are like, what?
It's like, right.
Yeah. Yeah.
So here's it's a two-part question for all three of you. Have you ever had anything follow you home? We'll start with Kelly.
I have not, fortunately.
Yeah.
Okay. I have. Yeah. And the weird part is I didn't know it was everybody around me that knew. And it was actually after, funny enough, the Gold Rush Trail. I like book at home and I stop at the general store to get my mail. And the girl who works there, who I know, she's like, you look different. I'm like, oh, thanks. I haven't slept for a week. Like, I'm super tired. And then I come home, which is also my business. So there was employees there and they all go, you look different. And I was like, why is everyone saying this? This is very strange. Whatever. And then I go to sleep that night and my husband has a massive night terror, which he doesn't have these. And so he basically said to me, like, what did you bring home? And I just remember thinking, like, everyone's telling me I look different. He's having a night terror. So I realized at that moment, like, something was off and I had to go get it cleared from somebody, which I did. But that was the one and only time for me.
So it's like a contagion from you to everybody else.
Yeah. Or they just, like, they could see it on me. The weird part was I felt great. So I was like, I don't know what you guys are talking about, but whatever. But everybody could see it.
Yeah, I see. For me, it's hard. I don't think so. But then again, every day of my life, I've had weird things happen. So I don't know if it's just you follow me home. I have an Italian. So I don't know. Okay. I don't think so.
Okay.
I hope not.
And then the second part of that question, is there anything currently around you girls now? Do you feel anything?
Not right this moment. No.
No.
No. We even had an investigation last night, and you just make a point to say, y'all stay here. Nothing's coming home with us.
Yeah. we're pretty good about that. Like you
Yep.
are very good about that. It's like, and nothing can follow us. We leave it out here. Thank you. Goodbye. Right.
But it is, I do have to say, as a newbie to I'm not a newbie anymore, but as the newbie, it was interesting. It doesn't matter where they go. Someone often will come and visit, whether it's a loved one or say we're with a group of people, one of their loved ones will come through. It's like almost without fail that, especially if a new person has joined the group, one of their loved ones will come through and you'll see Corine start biting her lip and like looking off into the distance. And you're like, all right, what's going on?
Apparently there are signs.
Yeah. So like we can sense things and we sometimes like see things. I mostly see in my mind's eye. Corine actually will be like, so do you know Gertrude?
Yeah. And we experienced that. Hey, Dale, we experienced that when we were in Thunder Bay. We did our talk. And then Corine came over with a piece of paper and was talking to Dale. I overheard a bit of it. Do you recognize these names? Dale's like, nope. You know, no, try Michael John. Corine came over to me, shows me these two names, and I just blindsided. It was my father and his brother, who was my uncle. And she even described a scar, which my dad would have had from an open heart surgery, and then a black dog that would have been with my uncle, who I confirmed after because I wasn't sure. He, 38 years old, had brain cancer. When he was in hospice, they allowed him to have his little black dog with him. Anyways.
Yeah. Well, I'm glad that made sense because we were in that huge room for the speaker series. We're at our table and I know Dale was talking and that's when I started to get it, but you were both on stage and I'm like, I think it's Dale, but there's so many people in the room and I'm just like, I'll just write it down. Yeah. So yeah, that's how it kind of, and then I'm like, I'm seeing these things. I'm like, well, it's one of the two of you. So
yeah, we're at the booth and Corine's like writing down messages for you and I'm trying to talk to people.
I'm like, I got you.
But thank you so much. That was like,
I mean, that must have been interesting for you to be in that room constantly with all that energy.
Yeah.
Like to be picking up on so many messages and how many people were coming through. I give kudos to you guys being able to be plopped into that situation and be able to control it to a point where you just have to walk out of the room and go, okay, enough's enough.
For sure. I think for me, it's been easier in my life to shut it down. Like I've just been more prone to shutting it down. And so when I open up, I'm like, whoa. So, you know, in my profession teaching, you've got 30 kids in every hour come in your room. You've got assemblies, you got groups of people and like the event, Lucky Paranormal event. And I think I can close it down. But when I open it up, I'm like, oh dear, like, how do we navigate this? Because I know at the first night at the VIP kind of welcome get together, that space had a lot of energy and it was a new building. I'd never been in that space. It was the old courthouse, I believe.
Yes.
And the courthouse alone had stuff. I'm like, oh dear. And then you walk in and it's full of people. I'm like, oh my gosh. And so I made an effort of going around and talking to a lot of people that night. And it was a lot. I remember I talked to one lady and I'm like, I'm pretty sure this person, like I gave all this information. I'm like, this person is like clearly standing behind you. Like, I know this message is for you. She's like, no. I'm like, well, it's either you or the lady behind you. And she turned around.
Oh yeah.
And the lady, she's like, does any of this stuff make sense? She's like, oh my God, like, that's my husband. That's my husband. Father-in-law. That's yes. I'm like, okay, so move out. It's you. So it's getting easier to navigate, but yeah, it's a lot.
I can't imagine. It's like opening floodgates then, right? Like you say, you shut it off, which is why I was going to ask you, are you able to just shut that off when you need to? Because it must get crazy, but you're like, as soon as you open it, it's like, look out.
Yeah. Well, 95% of the time I can shut it down, no problem. But occasionally something will just stick with me and it's like, I got to figure this out. But yeah, most of the time I can shut it down. Opening it up is no problem.
It's easier than turning it. So I got to ask all three of you, when messages come through, like, what is that like for you, each one of you to experience? And is it to a point where you just have to reach out to whoever that message belongs to?
Yeah, I can start.
Yeah, you start.
Yes. For me, I see it's Kelly's been really good at getting me to articulate over the years. So how would I word this down? So when I start to receive a message, apparently there are signs that these two can pick up. Like I bite my lip apparently, and I tap or fidget. I'm not 100% sure what that looks like, but and then for me, it's like you feel someone standing right behind you, like when you get that feeling of somebody right behind you. And then I start to hear almost like that static from like a radio station or an old TV set. Like you hear the static. Oh. And then in my left vision, it's like a black and white movie reel just showing me images. And it's really fast and it's just like power images. And then I can start to hear stuff and start to see these messages. And as soon as I start to slow down and see what's going on, then I can see the person is like, now I can start to give you the message. So for me, I can hear, I can see, I can just know things. I don't understand how it works. That's just how I can experience that. And then I can relay the message. But yeah, 95% of the time it's like that for me.
Yeah, I don't have the like strong abilities as Koreans to like seeing the movie reel and all that. Like I can see a lot of shadows and outlines. I have a very strong intuition. I'm more like dreams, premonitions, other stuff. But like sometimes I will get a name or something, like something will stick with me, like this weird concept or a name to the point where, yeah, you kind of have to say it. Sometimes it's nothing, but sometimes it's a really powerful, like that meant something to that person.
Yeah.
Yeah. Nobody in this group is like Corine. Like we each have our own individual things. For me, I'm more like feel the feelings of spirits or how they died. I'll feel that and I'll express that, and then Corine will tap into that usually. So if we're in a space like when we were in, was it New Orleans? We were in that mansion.
Yes,
okay, so we're in this house, and Corine was sort of stepped back, and we were just kind of getting ready. And I could sense this woman's husband over in the kitchen area, and he was like, to me, what I could see in my mind's eye was he's like jumping up and down with excitement, like, oh, like, yes, like it's happening. This is happening. And so I was like, kind of nudged her and was like, oh, he's over there. Like her husband's over there. And she said, oh, that's who that is. And as soon as she said that, he rushed her. And then she started reading. And so it's interesting for me. And I would say that Corine's honestly, what really convinced me that this was real. Like there's the gadgets and the gizmos and all that stuff. And I can see things and experience things. But when you're told that what you see isn't real or whatever, you question that yourself. But when I see her reading people or being a translator, let's say, for people on the other side to pass along messages to their loved ones, and it's things that nobody knows or deep family secrets or some dark spot in the house where the will is hidden that no one else was told about, like that stuff is just undeniable. So that was something that really whittled away the tightness that I guess I had developed. And so it just really softened everything for me. And so watching her do that was really what pulled me in. And also watching the journey along the way. I mean, I've grown so much and learned so much, but even watching them both come into, I mean, she's always been shouting it from the rooftop. So let's be honest. She's maybe been dragging Corine along for a while, but to see Corine really step into her own is truly, and I don't want to be so sappy, but it's an honor and a privilege. Like from the bottom of my heart to be on this journey with them and to see her come into her own, because when we first started, she wouldn't tell anyone. It was top secret. She said, don't tell this person because they know me from high school or whatever and they'll judge me. And so it was very interesting seeing her tiptoe around and decide when she could say something, when she couldn't say something. So as we moved forward, if we would sense something, it was almost like it gave her permission to like, okay, this is what I see. Whereas nowadays she just does it. And it's just so cool to see her embrace herself, because this is a part of who she is from when she was born.
It's taken me some time, but I got there.
I'll never forget. That's the thing. You were standing where the judge is and you're like, I'm doing this. Like you made that decision. Like I'm not hiding anymore.
Yeah.
And that's always a breakthrough moment for anybody, especially in this field or in this environment, to actually embrace the gifts that they were meant to have. And I mean, you see a lot of people like me and Michael John see a lot of it, and people being able to come in for the first time and actually say it out loud,
Yeah.
it's like a huge weight lifted off their shoulders that they're finally being able to not hide who they truly are, and that's spectacular for all three of you guys. And I'm so glad that you got to be able to share that moment for sure.
I'm just so glad that the weird kid's been normalized.
Yeah, no,
Okay.
and that's amazing because yeah, I mean, I can relate with that. Always growing up, being the weird kid, feeling different than everybody else, experiencing life than everybody else. So you hear what everybody else goes through, and it's just like, well, that's not exactly how I experience life, but that's okay. But
Yeah.
and then coming into your own and discovering this whole paranormal thing, like I said, it's been a true blessing in my life as well as Michael John, who dragged me into this. I mean, I was always fascinated by it. I've always had the experience, but it wasn't until he was on a paranormal team and he brought me out on my first investigation. Then it was like opening up a can of worms on my behalf. It was like this stuff is cool. I can learn a lot.
Totally.
Yeah.
And look where you are now too.
And I'll just
Great.
say, I appreciate y'all, all you people like Leanne, who just live who you are, for people like me who didn't, to see and to experience new things. And if it wasn't for someone like her, I would never be able to be where I am today. She just showed me a world that I didn't know existed.
And that is truly awesome. So, what does the future look like for Beyond the Haunting?
Well, we have a company, Beyond the Haunting Investigations, so we're continuing to do that. We're hoping we have some more projects in the works. We just can't, unfortunately, talk about it right now. But we feel like we still have some momentum. History's Most Haunted was rated really well in Canada, and it's international right now. So you can watch it in the UK, New Zealand, Australia, and the US on Haunt TV. So yeah, we're just kind of hoping this journey continues. I mean, we get to have adventures together and delve deep into the paranormal, so that's pretty fun.
What a life. Wow.
Yeah.
It's not a hard thing to take for sure. I mean, you guys are doing phenomenal work. The show, like I said, I haven't watched the whole entire series. I did catch it from time to time when I had that old people thing they call what cable TV, as Corine was calling it, up on stage. If old people still go to grandma's house and watch cable TV,
That's what we
you
tell
can
people.
still watch it.
Yeah.
That's legit what we tell people.
At school.
Oh my gosh, there's a student that was like, I've seen you. I watched you at my grandma's house. And I'm like, oh my gosh. She was on cable.
I got a question. I'm going to steal it from a friend of ours, Carrie Lynn Shellhorn. She asked us this, and I love the question. I'm going to steal it, but I got to give her the credit. So technically, I'm not stealing it, I guess. Girls, what's your go-to beverage to stay up at night on an investigation? We'll start with Corine.
Coffee. Hands down. Like IV coffee.
Yeah.
I love coffee.
I mean, I'm coffee as well. It might be
Yeah.
genetic, but just keep it coming. Yeah.
Yeah, I don't generally drink coffee, but coffee.
We have like thermoses of that. Yeah.
Copious amounts.
Yeah.
Thanks, Carolyn. Great question.
Why? What's your go-to? I want to know your go-to.
Me it would be Red Bull.
Oh.
Sugar-free Red Bull.
Mm.
See, I try not to drink while I'm on investigations because then at some point during the night, I'm going to have to stop and go to the bathroom. And as I've learned, going to a bathroom at a haunted place is not a good thing at all. The most scariest part was I was at the Hinsdale house in Hinsdale, New York, and everybody was in the living room and people were upstairs. And I was like, okay, I have to go to the bathroom. And at first, I was hesitant about shutting the door, but then I'm like, no, I don't want anybody walking by and seeing me go to the bathroom. So I shut the door, and then all of a sudden, there was another door inside the bathroom, which I knew there was an addition added onto the house, so I thought it just went to the living room. So the door started shaking. And I'm like, oh, these guys are fucking with me. And I was like, okay, guys, get it out. Haha, not funny. You know, and the door kept shaking and shaking and shaking. And I was like, okay, guys, enough's enough. Like, you're not freaking me out here. Like, I could feel the door shaking. All of a sudden, I walk out of the bathroom and everybody's standing in the kitchen going, who are you talking to? I said, well, weren't you guys just shaking the door that's in the bathroom? They're like, that door leads to the basement.
Oh, wow.
I went, okay, so no more washroom breaks tonight. Thank you so much. I will drive the 20 minutes back to my hotel room if I have to go to the bathroom again.
So Dale does not drink anything to
Yeah.
investigate.
Dale does not drink very much at night when I'm doing an investigation. But boy, afterwards, give me a whole jug of anything of like Prime or Hydrant drinks because I am so thirsty come the end of the night.
Oh my God.
This question has caused some PTSD for Dale.
No, but like I said, investigating it's so much fun, and especially when I get to do it for Michael John, because we've done the haunted Western Block in Lockport, New York, which is a truly amazing building. If you guys ever get down to the New York area, it's about 20 minutes outside of Niagara Falls, New York. It's a 200-year-old building. It's been featured on Expedition X with Josh Gates and 2 seasons of Death Walkers with Nick Groff.
Wow.
Cool.
Nice.
Yeah, our friends Frank Kupka and Heather Van Voos run the show there. Heather's the curator of the place, the owner of the building. But then Frank's her partner, essentially. Very good people, very accommodating. They'll give you the ins and outs of the joint, as well as take you around on a really awesome tour. Speaking of bathrooms, you just triggered a memory at that place when we were just there a couple of weeks ago. We were in the thick of the action, if you will, and then I had to take care of business. And we're on the second floor, and there's like this long hallway to get to this bathroom. Of course, it's dark, and no one's waiting for me. They don't care. They're like, oh, just go this way. And I'm already spooked. You know what I mean? So I'm going up this hallway, and I get to the point when you get in the bathroom, it's like a bedroom. It's just this giant room, a long hall, and the toilet's at the end. I'm so scared, girls. I'm so scared. I start talking to myself because that's how I handle that, So I'm doing my business, and I go, man, it sure is spooky in here. And I hear, yep. While I'm doing my business, it took a couple seconds for the thought process to go, you just heard someone say, yep. And I was just like, holy, you know what I mean? And I can't go anywhere because I'm stuck, doing my thing. So anyway, finally, I couldn't wait to find everybody. I don't even know. They were gone, boy. I got bad knees. And I'll tell you what, man, I moved like I was a spry 3-year-old finding them. It was that bad. Yep. Sure is spooky in here. Yep.
Investigations are never dull.
What a thrill,
Yeah, there you go. Bathrooms.
This is so funny because now I'm having flashbacks too.
A whole other hour.
This is a new topic. I'm remembering stories for them. Oh yeah.
Bathrooms and haunted places are always an adventure in its own because all you want to do is it's like, yeah, no boundaries, people. You're not supposed to be in here. But wow, what a fun hour it has been hanging out with you ladies. I look forward. So if anybody wants to reach out to you guys, where are you guys going to be next? If you guys are doing any appearances or any event, please, this is your platform to let everybody know what's going on.
Cool. Definitely follow us on the socials at Beyond the Haunting. You can check out our website, beyondthehaunting.ca, and we will be for sure posting some updates pretty soon. Some big ones, hopefully, over the next couple months. So follow those, and you can send us a message if you want and tell us your experience.
Oh, I forgot one thing before we let you guys go. Now, what do you guys know about Ogopogo?
Oh, Ogopogo.
Yeah, it's about 5 hours from us right now.
I want to see it so bad. I've even had dreams about it. Like,
Oh, really?
Yeah, I
Yeah.
think, yeah, I like also live on a very large lake in a volcanic area. So there's for sure lava flows and tubes. I think there's stuff we don't know for sure. I mean, I know people who have claimed to have seen Ogopogo, but I think just the amount of lakes in Canada and the depths of those lakes and all the interconnectedness.
Yeah, and Okanagan Lake is pretty big, and they've had lots of people out there looking for years. So, fingers crossed.
I just know it's one of the it's a Canadian. We have our own lake monster, so I think that's really cool on Beyond All Things. But thank you, ladies, so much. It's been a great hour. We look forward to staying in touch with you guys, seeing what you guys are doing up the road for sure.
Cool.
Thanks so much for having us on.
I just want to say History's Most Haunted. You can find it. It's on in the USA and New Zealand, Australia, UK, on Haunt TV. It's also on Vizio, watch free in the USA. Is that right? Vizio? Am I saying that right?
Yeah, I think it's still on there in the US. Yeah.
Yeah, I'm nailing those, right? Okay. I'm
Yeah, you're
feeling
nailing
the
it.
website. I'm looking at yours right now. I'm kind of looking so I don't mess it up. All right. Hopefully everybody heard that. I want to say thank you, of course, to all you girls, of course, Kelly, Leanne, and Corine, Beyond the Haunting. An honor and privilege to have you on, to know you, to get to hang out with you. Hope to see you all up the road somewhere. Everybody else out there, everybody else is, of course, the creeps, the freaks, and the weirdos that make up the TPV Nation. We don't get to do what we get to do. That's this right here, right now, from day one to day now. Thank you all very much. We'll see you all on the other side. But in the meantime and in between time, happy hauntings.
Happy hauntings.
Thanks, guys.
thanks, guys.